we all have this 3-pound brain. If the brain is a computer, then everything we put into the brain, every thought, every belief, from when we were born, is the software we're putting into the brain. It could be a computer, it could be a car, you're the one who's driving, but all the mechanisms within, that's how the brain operates. But the brain is not that important, it's an organ, and it's useful because that's how you do things unconsciously. Your brain is all of your body. Sometimes habits can get off track if we don't bring them to light, to the conscious side, to the mind. It used to be said that the brain is the most important organ in our body, but now there's studies showing that it's actually the heart. It's much more powerful. It's like an electrical magnetic field. That's how emotions can be so powerful. An emotion can make you sick. An emotion can make you do things out of love that you wouldn't even have the words to describe. It's not a rational thing. The heart doesn't communicate like that. Neuroscience is this whole new field that we're starting to understand the mechanisms within the brain. Once we start with the code, that we have this computer software within, we can understand that we can reprogram our beliefs, our subconscious patterns, our shadow work. We can utilize science and psychology, blend this together to see the ways we can use our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings to become someone else, to do the little things in our everyday, reminding ourselves that we can change, that we can do things differently. When your heart and brain are in coherence, by you creating new emotions, by you creating new thoughts, experiences, perceptions, then you're energetically changing and creating new habits, which sounds more basic, but when we use science to understand it, we can remind ourselves to be more present with ourselves and to approach ourselves in a more like curious way. Your power is within, and it sounds cliche, it sounds pseudo. It's a matter of putting it to practice and utilizing it as a self-care means. You have the power to change within if you discipline your thoughts, if you understand that you might be running an unconscious pattern that is not resonating with who you want to become. That's the first thing you have to acknowledge. You have to bring those patterns to light, to consciousness. Energy healing and all of these things work nowadays, and they're starting to come onto light, and tools such as astrology, yoga, meditation, exercise, they're all tools to get rid of that excessive energy we feel in the body when we can't explain it. You can't rationally tell me what I'm feeling. I need to let it go. I need to go be by myself. I need to get out of that energy I have within and talk to myself. That's why walking, going on runs, doing all of these things are things that can center us to be in a better mental headspace. Your brain is just an organ, and then your heart is another organ. Science is backing up how important the heart is and how important the coherence we have with the brain is. It's much more powerful than we ever thought, because by understanding that we go through all of these brainwave frequencies during the day, then we can tap into them intentionally. With an EEG, neuroscientists can measure the brainwave frequencies and how they affect our heart and brain coherence. These are the brainwave frequencies we go during the day: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Delta is when we are at deep rest sleep. Theta is the hypnosis state. If you think about when we were 0 to 7 years old, we were in a theta state, in a hypnosis state of being. We were getting those programs from our environment, from our parents, from the people we were around, from the thoughts of other people, the beliefs, everything depending on where you grew up, who you grew up around, everything. It was just hypnosis because you couldn't use your cognition to rationally think about the things you were doing. You were learning, you were adapting new information. But we all tap into our theta state of being. It's when you're at deep rest, you're about to fall asleep. You're not fully deeply rested, like in a delta brainwave frequency. Delta is like dead asleep. So that's why in psychology, we see a lot of like neuroscience and psychology and science and spirituality. Everything's being more blended now because we start to understand that everything's kind of like the same. It's a matter of using a little bit of every field to understand yourself and to understand where you fit in. Not looking at things so rationally sometimes. We're starting to understand with science that the power we have within to control our state of being is much more deep than we thought. We are like these electromagnetic beings that we can tap into the brainwave frequencies to alter our state of being during the day. In theory, there's only these 4 brainwave frequencies, But now, scientists and neuroscientists especially are starting to decode and talk more about gamma brainwave frequency. With gamma would technically be alpha. Gamma, it's like you're in an alpha state of being, but you're just seeing every possibility with presence. You have that ability to see things in a more calm way. You're in a flow state. Things just work. You start doing a task and then another one and then another one, and it's just like your brain is in harmony. But when we're in alpha, where we can be present in the brain, like if you think about your conscious and your subconscious mind, alpha would be the middle, the present. So the middle is where we can see new possibilities. We can get out of our usual state of being. We're not in hypnosis, but we're not anxious. We're in the middle. And that's what taps us into a gamma state of being, which would be the highest frequency of brainwave, because there's just a lot of things going on in your brain, but everything is in rhythm, in a rhythmic way, in a flow. That's why when you're anxious, you're very anxious, you can't accomplish anything. You're in a beta state of being. That's just like a little bit more about the frequencies, but the importance of this is how important it is to give yourself the space and the time to be with yourself, understand your frequencies, understand what triggers you, how you can get into that flow state of gamma wave. You have all of these frequencies, you can tap into them. The more you get to know yourself, the more you're curious about yourself, you tap into your own form of self-care, the more you can tap into those flow states of being. If you're always frustrated, you're gonna be always in that beta. You're always anxious, you're always analyzing, comparing yourself. It all takes back to the discipline of mind and being able to take care of yourself in a coherent way where you can tap into being more present. When you're always in that beta state of being, go out for a walk, be more present, tap into your alpha state of being. That's what's gonna give you that clear-mindedness to bloom, automatically go into that gamma. And it's not going to be a one-time thing, but you know how when you go out for a walk, when you go in the shower, you just leave things. You're very anxious and you just leave things, you detach. All of a sudden you start entering a flow. Take your mind off of it and then it automatically takes you in it, which sounds a little confusing, but once you go more in walks, you start questioning yourself. You start leaving your analytical mind, tapping more into your present mind, and you start seeing new possibilities. For me personally, like I've been doing that more lately. I've always been known for kind of needing my space a lot. I need my space. It's not like being isolated. It's giving yourself that importance to be alone with yourself. Tap into those things that make you you. Be weird, be yourself, be random. Those things are the things that are gonna let you let go. Paint, go out, give yourself that space. If you just try to accomplish everything, you're always gonna stay in everything. I think we can use neuroscience data and stuff to start to better understand how we can tap into self-care. We live in a society that everything is so analytical, that we cannot be present. So we cannot think outside the box. We cannot be creative. We cannot be random with ourselves. We lost that ability. So it's a matter of understanding and tapping back into that alpha when we're very in the beta. So think about your mind as like an orchestra or a band. You can manage that band until you find the right coherence, the right melody for your brain. And yeah,